Hello there survivors, and welcome back to another build tutorial in ARK Survival Ascended. Today I'm going to show you step by step how to build these Greek stables using the Astraeos Custom Cosmetics skins, which you can also use on official, and of course the Frontier skins, part of the Bob Tall Tales DLC. These stables have everything that you will need during your survival days. On the left side we've got some smaller stables, 7 of them in total, designed around the shape and size of the Dread Mares and Dread Stallions, but of course alternative dinos that are around that same size or smaller will also easily fit inside. On the right side we have some bigger stables, 5 of them to be exact, and they are a little bit longer and a little bit wider, so for some of the dinos with some long wiggling tails like Stegos for example, they should still be able to fit inside and you'll have them comfortably and safe. And then we have the main building in the corner, which is big enough to house 1 or 2 gigas or carchas, so you could do some breeding inside or have them safely grow up, but mostly you just have the big space for all of your breeding, your hatching, whatever you want to do, or maybe turn it into your main base and storage if you want to have everything combined in one place. And then at the top we have room for a little aviary for your flying friends, and at the back a little place to hang out, relax, or maybe have an open air crafting area. As always, if you enjoyed these build tutorials and you want to keep seeing more, make sure to like the video, really helps me out a lot, and of course subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future build videos. As always, if you have any suggestions for future builds you would like to see, whether it's Greek builds or anything else, leave them down in the comments below too. And you should totally be able to build this entire thing on official. I don't think there's anything that can't be done, and I do give some alternatives for what you could do on overlapping settings versus what you can do on official settings. So hopefully you should not have any issues building this if you're looking for a nice stables for all of your tames. With that being said, let's get into the build. Okay, we're going to start of course with another foundation. So we want to start here and we want to make this 7 wide in total. So just like this. And then this is going to be 15 long. So that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. And then, of course, once again, this is going to be 7 wide. And then, of course, we can continue this shape all the way back so that we have the first set of stables. So these are the bigger stables for your bigger and longer tames with the long tails. So they will still fit inside. And that's going to be this shape right here. Then on this corner we want to add 1 more, and we want to go out by 1, just by 1 in total. And this whole thing we want to make 5 wide, so just like this. And then this is going to be 14 long, so that is 4, 6, and then it's 8, 10, 12, and 14. And then again it's going to be 5 wide in total. And then we should be able to bring it back across just like this all the way back to the other side, and that's going to be like the main building in the corner, and that's also going to be like where you can do your breeding. You can even fit like 1 or 2 gigas inside, and yeah, you can also of course use this as your main base. And then for the other stables, that's what we're going to add right here. So 1 from the outside, we're going to make it 4 wide. So this is designed around like Dread Mares or Dread Stallions. And this is going to be 14 long. So this is 4, 6, and then 8, and then 10, 12, 14. Then of course it's going to be 4 wide, and then we can bring it all the way back in to the main building, just like this. So these are the shapes that we'll need. That's like the basic shape. That's about the space that we need. We have a few more additions to make. So first of all, here on the inside, we're going to add 5 of them, just right here, which is going to be one of the entrances. Then here on this end, we also want to add 3 extra foundations for another entrance. And then here at the back, we're actually also going to expand it by going out by 4 more of them and then making this 5 wide once again. So we can just fill this in like this. So these are all the outlines for the build that we're going to need. So as you can see, you need a decent amount of space. Hopefully you can find a nice flat spot so you can use foundations. If you're using mods, I recommend Architect Structures Remastered because they allow a little bit more snapping and more height difference between foundations than normal ARK. But if you're working with vanilla ARK or you're playing on official settings, what you can do always, if you can't find the right spot, of course, is using some ceilings to fill in gaps that you can't place down foundations, and then using walls for the sides. But yeah, these are the foundations that we need, that we just placed. And of course, we want to fill in the inside for all of these. All right, and once everything is filled in, that means, of course, we can get started on building the actual buildings. We're going to start with the stables here on the left, and then we'll slowly work our way around the entire building. First of all, we're going to bring out some pillars. We want to start right here, bringing them up by 2, leaving a gap of 2, and adding more pillars in. Each of them is going to be 2 above the foundation, and then of course connecting them down into the ground as well for a nicer aesthetic. But that's what we're going to do all the way until the end, and that should be perfectly doable. Those are going to be like the sizes for each separate stable. If you want, of course, play around with the sizes of your interior, that's totally up to you. But this is what we should get started with. As for the dividing walls, we want to just fill in the layers right here at the bottom. Just like this. All the way through, because of course those are going to be all our different sections of stables. So we're just going to add in our walls. Just like this, and then the last one we'll save because that's of course going to be the wall of the main building there. Then we'll take out our stone railing to place on top of these walls, and we can do that for each and every one of the walls that we've just placed. Again, this is to kind of just build a nice divider for these stables, and we want to go all the way through. Then we want to flip them around and actually place them on top so that the black parts are touching each other and the stone parts are on the outside, and that's how we'll go around the entire division line for these stables, just like that, until we reach the other side. Then we'll also start placing down walls here at the back. So the first bottom layer is just going to be normal regular walls all the way through until the end. There we go. And then we want to actually also take out a beam and continue it along the bottom of these walls, just as an extra little bit of detail. Then we're going to take out our windows, place them on top. So there's going to be a bunch of windows, but especially with these Astraeos skins, they're going to look a lot smaller. So I don't think it's too crazy, and it allows some extra light into the stables. And then of course we want to add in the doors or windows everywhere so that we don't have to think about that anymore. There we go. Then we can take out a quarter ceiling, start right over here, and then just create a little lip at the back of the building just to have a little bit of an overhang for the roof, which in my opinion always looks a little bit nicer, helps make these walls a little bit less flat, and we'll just follow along the entire back wall of the stable until we reach the pillar there at the end, of course. Now we want to take out our ramps, and we want to start right here, so lining it up where the building will be, and then in total this is going to go forward by 5, so that's 4, and that should be 5. So it's just sticking out like a quarter more than the actual foundations. Then of course we can start going across with our ramps all the way to the other side here. Now at the end there's 2 options. If you play on official, you just play this last one and nothing special going on. But if you do have overlapping available, what you want to do first is you want to place this one right here, so we have this little half overlap at the outside, and then we can overlap the other one into each other, just because that allows you that little overhang on the outside, which you otherwise can't really get, or you have to do a full ramp overhang on the outside, which is possible on official, so you could do that instead, but that's a little much in my opinion. But yeah, It's better than nothing, I suppose, so you can definitely try it. But yeah, that's the only little change you'll have to do for official versus non-official settings. But then the rest of the roof, we can just start filling in with our ramps. So basically, we're going to go all the way through from one side to the other side to fill in this entire roof of the stables to make sure that your tames are nicely protected from above. And yeah, get the kind of nice look as well. I really love these roof skins of Astraeos, so it's gonna look quite nice. But of course, you could technically also use other building materials or building skins to build this. All right, there we go. We have the roof. Now it's time to start with this side wall. First of all, we'll fill in the bottom layer just like this. Then we'll have a wall here and a wall right there. And then there's gonna be 2 walls above this one just like that. We're gonna have a window here and a window right over there. Then what we want to do is take out our quarter walls here. We want to fill in this one, and these 2 just like this. And then there should be more over here, as well as just like this over here. We can take out those slope walls. There should be able to fit one inside there, fit one up top there, and fit one right next to this one here, kind of following the shape. Of course, if you have the overlapping as I do, they will fit right through the ceilings or the roofs. If you do not have that, it will look something like this. So on official, it will look something like this instead. But yeah, of course, that depends on whether or not you have this overhang available. Just to give you a reference, if you're trying to do this unofficial, it's not going to be going through anything, so it should be able to just work out. And then here at the end, we actually want to take the quarter walls all the way down to the ground like that. Then we want to take out our beams again, and at the front here we want to just follow the top layer of the roof. For official, this is where it would end right there, and if you do the overlapping, you of course want to make sure that you do this one as well. Then we should be able to bring down a pillar right from there and just have it go all the way down into the ground like that. We should be able to add one here, right over there, one over here, and just every 2 will bring down a pillar that is gonna, you know, help us support the building. And we want to make sure that we bring them all the way back down into the ground. Of course, every 2 we're gonna place another pillar just like that. Then we're not done with the pillars quite yet. We want to also have a pillar starting here at the end of the inner walls, so they're going to be quite close together, but yeah, it's going to just create a little bit more support in there. So we just want to bring up all these pillars like this. Then we want to take out our quarter walls again and start adding a layer of them here at the top, just going across and following the beams that we have at the top of the roof, following them all the way across until we reach the end here. And then underneath, we want to add in a layer of normal walls like this, going all the way across to the other side. There we go. And then, of course, we want to add in our beams across the bottom of this, just to give some extra support and a little bit more structure to all this. Now, there's a few options for your stables. Of course, you can add gateways and gates to every single one of them if you want to really make sure that they're protected and safe inside, which looks fine. But I think there's also a different way, although you will have to protect your tames in different ways as well. What you want to do is you want to add scaffolding like this right there, skip a one, and then we're going to add some more scaffolding in there, skip another one, add some scaffolding, and then the last one here will do the same thing as well. So those are going to have the scaffolding above the entrance. They're going to be open though, so you'll have to still protect them in a different way. Then in the other ones, we're going to place the gateway just like this, just like that, and just like this. And then, of course, we can add in our gates to these tables as well. So you can pick and choose whether you want to do this like this in this pattern. I think that's personally really, really nice. But of course, if you want to protect all of them, you probably still want to add in the gates for every single one. And I would also make sure that the gates always open out so they're always coming towards you and you have more room on the inside to work with. And then what we want to do is just add a layer of ramps in front so you can actually leave your stables. Depending on your landscape, you might have to do a little bit more. As you can see, mine are a little bit higher, but most cases you're probably fine with just adding one layer of ramps going all the way across. And yeah, this way you can still enter and exit your stables. And of course, here on the side, we also want to add in our windows. All right, before we start with the main building in the corner, we're going to start with the other stables. And we'll start right here by adding 3 pillars going up. And of course, connect them back at the bottom. We'll leave a gap of 3 and do the exact same thing. Another gap of 3. And we're going to repeat this for the entire back of this stable's side. So just like this. And we can actually do the same thing right here on the corner that is going into the main building. Then what we actually can do, we can have one right here and have a pillar right there as well, because we're going to basically continue that. Here on the front, we also want to add in these pillars. So same thing as on the back. It's going to be 3 high and a gap of 3 each time. So basically we can just kind of go all the way around, creating this same pattern on both sides. And there we go. Then here we have a gap of 2 before we place them down, and then the same thing for the other side. So in the middle we'll have a gap of 3, and then of course we can have the pillars go all the way down into the ground. And here on the side we can have beams connecting to the pillars, and at the back of the stables we're gonna do the same thing. So we're gonna have these beams go all the way across until we meet with the other side. Then we can bring a beam across the top layer here as well. So we're basically just going to go across the top like that, as well as one over here. So one down, it's going to be another layer of beams going across the back of the stables, just like that. We can start filling in the wall here at the top, just go all the way across to the other side without any issue, just all the way to the top. And then here at the bottom, we're going to do the same thing. It's going to go all the way across to the other side as well, just like this. And then here we want to leave the middle one out for every one of these sections. So normal walls except for in the middle. That's where we're going to add in a little window for all of these. So just across like this. And of course we can add in our windows just like that. And there we go. That is the back of the stables. At the other sides of the stables, the front, it's going to be a little bit easier. We're going to, of course, also have a beam going across the entire top of the build, just like that. And then we have once again another choice. Just as we did on the other side, we can choose whether we want to close all of the stables, just some of the stables, or none of the stables. I'm going to, again, do alternative options. So I'm going to do one with scaffolding. This one we're going to close off. This one is going to have, this one is going to have the scaffolding in the corners, and then the last one is going to do the same thing. So this is again an open design, so you have to protect your tames in a different way, but I think it looks really nice. And then we'll take out a large cellar door, as you can see, and we'll change it not to the hangar version, but to the barn door version. And we're going to have one over here and one over there. Once again, I would always suggest switching these so they always open outward. And yeah, they look quite good. And especially once we add the frontier skin, they will look even nicer. So yeah, we go. This is also the reason why I personally wouldn't do all of them cellar doors, because they would kind of overlap into each other when they're open. Although, of course, if you keep them close, you could still just alternate them. But yeah, that's up to you. And of course, what you need for your playthrough. But this is the way the front is going to look. Then we're going to take out our quarter ceilings and we're going to start adding a little line of them across the front of the building. So we're just going to follow the beams all the way from one side to the other side, adding all of them in just like this. And at the other side, we're going to do the exact same thing and just follow along the beams, adding in a little layer of these quarter ceilings, which is going to help us get the roof in the right position. Now here at the side of the building, what we want to do is we actually want to snap to this quarter ceiling, just like this. And then we should be able to bring across the beam. I think this should still be possible on official as well. Otherwise, you can just connect the beams between the pillars and leave out the little ones at the end. Although I do kind of like the little touch that this gives, because it really makes everything feel connected and supported. So just like this, we want to bring them across. Then we want to start filling in the walls. We want to do the entire bottom layer just like this. And then we also want to fill in this top layer here all the way across from one side to the other. We're going to fill in these two. The middle one is going to be a window. And then we're going to fill in the ones right at the sides. And then you guessed it, the other ones are all going to be windows just like this. And of course, don't forget to add in the actual windows themselves. Then we're going to bring out our quarter walls. We're going to do it 2 from the end. We're going to place 2 next to each other. We're going to do the same thing here on the other side. Then we're going to bring out our full walls again. We should be able to fit 4 of them right in between these. And then here at the top, we should have 4 more quarter walls just like that. Then we can take out our slope walls. We can add one right there, one right next to it, another one here, then here in the middle, and then following that same kind of pattern going back down till we create what I like to call a little mountain. But of course, with the Astraeos skins, this is gonna look really, really nice. And then we actually want to add in some pillars right here where the full wall stops. We want to have a pillar, the same thing over here. And then in the middle of everything, we want to add another pillar just like this. Then we can start here at the back with our ramps and we can start adding in the roof. It's going to go up just a few, like it should go up by 4. And then if we start the same roof here at the other side, it should also go up by 4, and it should meet in the middle just like that. Then of course here at the side we can just keep bringing this one out all the way along the little ledge that we created, and it should line up with the front. This is unofficial where you would start. You can of course choose to do an overlap with a full roof on the outside. If you do have overlapping settings, what you can do again is place one like this, then place in your full roof, and then you can still have a little bit of an overhang on the outside. But again, not possible unofficial, unfortunately. But the other way, you can still work around that and still make it look very, very nice, just like that. And then of course, it's a question of starting to fill in this entire roof with all the ramps, and hopefully not misplace them as I'm doing, but just going around and filling in this entire roof all the way across to create our nice little stables that should have a decent amount of room in them for a bunch of your tames. So you'll have to, you have a nice place to keep them safe. And there we go. That is this side of the roof. Now, very important, what we want to do is we want to add a beam across the top of the roof, just following all of these ramps. Then again, of course, with the overlapping, you want to make sure that you also add a pillar there, but otherwise it would just end at where the wall starts. And of course, this other side of the roof, we also just kind of want to do the same thing and start filling it all in with our ramps going all the way across, reaching the wall. Again, for official, you just want to have this normal wall, maybe have a full ramp at the outside. But unofficial with overlapping, you can add a little quarter one overlapping through these structures, which will, yeah, it just looks a little bit more subtle and a little bit nicer in my opinion, but yeah, feel free to change that up. And there we go. Then we just want to fill in all of these last roof pieces so that we have the roof for this stable side done as well. There we go. Just like that, filling all of them in all the way until we reach the other side. Now here on this side, there's actually also a little bit what we could add. You could, if you have overlapping, you could also have a little bit of an overhang here. The only downside to this is we can't go any further because the normal wall of the building is going to go up here. So yeah, you'll have this little gap always. So yeah, you can choose to do it, or you can just leave it out and end it right here. The wall for official, you have to end it here anyway. So yeah, probably easier to just keep it like this. And then we also want to make sure that we fill this wall in. You could add in a window here if you want to, but probably not really necessary, as you're gonna just look at the entrance right here, so not a lot to see. And then here we also want to still fill in these little quarter walls. Then it will have a full wall, and then we'll have to fill in the remaining. So this is going to be another quarter wall all the way up like this. And then of course we want to add in our slope walls right there, right here, another one there. And then this one is a little bit tricky. On official, you'll just have to leave this empty. If you do have overlapping settings, you can add one here, but because of course there's going to be a wall here still that will overlap into each other, so just keep that in mind. But other than that, that is pretty much how we built these stables. Of course, here at the front, we do want to make sure that it's easy to get in and out of these, so you probably want to add a little row of ramps to get easily in and out of your stables. And again, depending on your landscape, you might have to add another layer of them, but in most cases, probably one layer of ramps should do the trick. So of course, we also want to have some dividers in these stables. They're going to be the same thing as we did before. So we're starting with a base wall at the bottom layer, and then we'll have some railings on top of them. So first of all, we'll create some of these dividing walls all the way across, except of course the last one, which is going to be the wall into the rest of the building. And then on top of this, we're going to add in our railings just like this. Going to do this for all of these dividing walls. There we go. Just to create a little bit of division. Of course, you could create doors between the stables if you want to give yourselves some easy ways to go across, or some secret doors maybe, so you could still easily go from stable to stable without having to go in and out, but I'll leave that up to your own choice. But yeah, we'll add another layer of these railings on top, just so that we have that nice divider between the different stables. There we go, and there is the last one. Alright, now it's time to get started on the main building here in the corner of the build, and we're gonna start with some of these beams in these two places on both sides, just like that. And then we want to switch to our normal pillars. We want to add, of course, pillars right there. We want to make those 3 high. The same thing over here, we'll make them 3 high. And then here in the middle, we also want to have pillars going up by 3. We'll connect them all the way to the bottom, and we can have them going on across like that. There we go. So this is the start of the building that we need. Then we can take out some ramps and also add them right here in front, so you can easily get in and out. Although you can also change these to stairs, but just because diners might use them, I like to prefer using ramps. Again, depending on your landscape, you might have to add another layer, but in most cases, one of them should be enough. Then we can take out our stone walls here for the bottom and the top layer on both sides of this, and then filling in the entire side of this little entrance. There we go. The same over there. And then, of course, changing these to windows and filling in the sides. Adding in our windows themselves. And once again, taking out that cellar door, large cellar door, but then the barn door variant for the entrance of the build. There we go. So that is how we're going to get in and out of our building. And then we'll take out our quarter ceilings, add 2 of them right here and 2 of them right there on the other side. Then we can take out our ramp, making sure we place that here and place 1 on the outside as well. So we're going to go up by 3 in total, and the same thing on the other side. So going up by 3 in total and extending it by 1 just to get a little bit of an overhang at the front, and adding a beam right there in the middle. So that is going to be the shape for our roof. Then we want to add in some quarter walls here, quarter walls there, some full walls in between, just the 2 of them, and then we'll take out our slope walls right here, there, on top of these, and then following the same shape down towards the other side like that. We'll do something very similar on this side. We'll add in some beams right here on the sides. We'll add in a pillar right there and a pillar right here, making it 3 high in total. This one as well. Doing the same thing here on this side, 3 high and 3 high here. And here at the front, of course, we want to make sure that we continue this going across like that. And of course, we can add in that large cellar door right here, again in the middle, as an entrance for this part. Then here on the side, we want to fill in the walls, just 3 of them going up on both sides, taking out the quarter ceiling, adding 2 of them on each side on the outside. And then we can start our little roof. First off, taking 2 of them to just go up like that, 2 of them here on the other side, and of course adding in that little addition on the outside as well as adding in a little beam across the top there. Then we should be able to add in some quarter walls, just 4 of them going across like this. And then, of course, adding in all slope walls there and to the side, just like this. And then here at the front, once again, bringing out some ramps. Mostly you'll just need 1. Maybe in some landscapes, you'll need a second layer as well. All right, now we've focused on those 2 entrances. It's time to actually start the main building shape here. So we'll take out our walls. We'll start right over here and we'll go up by 6 in total. So just like that. And then we should be able to bring this all the way across to the other side, just over here. And then we should be able to go down with 6 walls or 5 walls as well, and then link it back up here. So now it means that we have the height of the main structure. We can take out the beams and connect the bottom 2 spots to these corners. Here we want to do both of those actually, just so that they're fully filled in. Then we can also take out a pillar and connect it back down here, and then go all the way up alongside this. And of course the same thing on the other side, should line up with the pillar that we already had for the stable on this side. On the other side, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to bring down this pillar all the way from the top to the bottom. And here on the outside, or the inside actually, we can continue it from where the stable ended, just like this. And we can make sure that we have a beam going across the bottom of this layer all the way until the other side as well. And the wall is going to be divided in different parts. Here we're going to go for 1, 2, 3, and 4 before we have a pillar going down once again. Then we'll have a gap of 3 before a pillar is going down. And then this is going to be 1 part. So we go back to this side. We can have a pillar going all the way down like this, and making sure to add in that one as well. Then we'll have a pillar going down here, just like this, reaching this point where of course the stables end. And then this one again we already placed in. Those are the different sections for this part of the wall. Then here we want to actually add in a little door so that you have like a little extra entrance or exit into these stables from the inside of your building. And then the rest of these walls we can just start to fill in because they kind of just are bordering right into this stable side. We want to fill all these in. And then what we can do is we can add a layer of windows right above here to add in a little bit of extra light. Of course, adding in the actual windows themselves. All right, then here we actually also want to have 2 windows there and 2 windows here. We have a full one right in the middle, then 2 quarter walls here, quarter walls there, and then we can actually have some slope walls following this shape. So we kind of make the entrance stand out a little bit as well on the inside of the building. And of course we can add in the actual windows here too, just like that. Then we can take out our walls and we can start filling them around here. We can bring this all the way up and bring this back around the other side. And we can actually connect the beams across the bottom here as well as the bottom there. Now there's going to be 2 options depending on what settings you play on. First of all, what you want to do is you have the double doors going all the way up, and then if you're an official you want to add in a beam here at the top. If you do have overlapping settings available, we're going to do it slightly different. First of all, what we're going to do is add in double doors right here. We're going to change these to the great variants from the Astraeos skins, and it's going to look like a lovely window, but with overlapping we can create a little curve at the top. So you want to have 1 slope wall here and 1 slope wall like that. We're going to change those to the curved skins of the second variant, and that's going to create a lovely window shape. And then of course on this side we also want to add in that door so that you have that access to these stables. All right, then for this wall, of course, it's going to be a little bit different. First of all, we're going to create a double door right here. Again, another entrance into the stables. And then we can just start filling in the walls around it. So all the way like this. And we actually want to make sure that this goes to this height right here. So not all the way the same height as the other one. This one will bring right down. And we'll fill this in all with normal walls. Now here on this side, we want to add in this beam and a pillar going all the way to the top here. There's already a pillar on the other corner. These pillars, we want to make sure that we extend all the way. And then we can have pillars going across to the other side like this. So very simple wall. And of course, fill in the doors there too. For the wall on the opposite side, it's going to be slightly different. We're going to start out with 2 normal walls just like this. We're going to have a beam here at the bottom as well as a pillar right here. This pillar we can bring up. It's going to go across right here. So once again, not all the way to the same height as the wall on the side we have there. And then we also want to bring in these full walls right there in the corner, as well as bringing these 2 down, leaving that gap open. Same over here. That gap is going to stay open. We're going to have a window there, a window here. Then we're going to have 3 windows right there in the middle. Then we're going to grab our quarter walls and we're going to have a layer of them going across this side. And then in the corners, we'll have some slope walls like this to kind of create, once again, a nice little shape. If you do have overlapping, which you can also do instead of these quarter walls in the middle, you can once again overlap some slope walls like this. And with the third variant, that's going to look quite nice. But on official, you'll just have to just keep these quarter walls going on like that. Both will look absolutely fine. Then we'll bring in our windows, of course, and fill them all in too. If you want to add in a nice elevator platform, this is the spot to do it. So what we'll do in preparation is have pillars going up right here. And then after a gap of 3, we're going to have more pillars going up right here as well. This is then where that gap would be. So this is where your platform would end up at, right in the middle at one side of the building. And this would allow you to quickly bring tames up and down if you need to. And of course, just gives yourself a nice access point to get up and down without needing a staircase. It doesn't take up that much space. And the good thing is, if you're not using it, you can leave it up there and you can use the entire space at the bottom. Now, for aesthetic purposes, I would use wood, but of course, practical, it would be the metal one, but that doesn't fit in with the Greek theme. But yeah, we'll have the track going all the way up and then the little switch at the top, as well as the platform itself, of course. First of all, we'll add in a wall right behind the track itself. Then we can take out our full scaffolding blocks, and one of them we'll add right here on this side going up, and then on the other side we'll have the other variation going up like this to create a nice little pattern and an easy way to go both up and down. And whilst we're at it and we still haven't closed up the whole building, it might be nice to start adding in a floor here, a ceiling layer, because this is also going to be kind of like an aviary, or at least it's an attic that you can use to park some of your flyers in, or of course have your main base in your storage or whatever, or just your bedroom, whatever you want to do with it. But if it's just the stables and your dino pen, then probably keeping some of your flies up here makes the most amount of sense. And yeah, we just want to fill all of this in to create another nice layer here. Okay, then it's time to start creating this side of the building. We're gonna start with a wall just going across this side, just mirroring what we have on the opposite side as well. So we'll just fill it in like this. We'll have the pillars right at the end, of course, but also at the same intervals. So there's going to be a pillar extra here. Then there's going to be a gap of 5. There's going to be a pillar, a gap of 3. There's going to be a pillar. And then, of course, one here as well. We can bring these pillars all the way down. So there's going to be one here. There's going to be another pillar coming down right into this corner. There's going to be a pillar that is coming right down on this side, and another one on this corner as well, just all the way down. And then we want to have this beam here at the bottom going across to this corner, and there's not going to be one there, but there is going to be one right at the bottom of the wall that we've just created, continuing all the way across. Then we can take out our windows, and we're going to have 2 windows here, 2 windows there, and we're going to repeat that process over here. So 2 windows here and 2 windows over there. We can fill in the middle with a full wall, and we can actually have a full wall coming down on this side just like this. And of course, this corner we're going to do the same thing, having the wall come all the way down just like that. For this side, we're actually going to create another entrance, so a 3 high pillar and then a beam going across like that. We can then fill in the remaining of the wall for this section, just so. And of course, the cellar door we can also then use over here to create a nice barn door. And then for this section on this side, of course, we're going to still build that up a little bit later. But for now, we'll focus over here. We'll also want to have a wall continuing all the way across here. And we're going to have a wall that is going along the bottom all the way to the other side like this. Then we have a beam right there, a beam right there, and a beam right here in the middle. We're going to create those similar windows. So these sides we can fill in just like this. You can have this one go up, this one, and that one here on the left. And then these are going to be your tall windows. So again, for official settings, you just want to add in your double door frames on all of these. And then you can add a beam at the top if you're on official settings. Otherwise, of course, we're going to create those nice curves. So we're going to have the slope walls at the top, creating the curves with the second variant. And of course the doors with the great variant to create some really nice windows that will let in plenty of light. And we can also fill in the windows up there, of course. And then we do have a nice wall on this side ready to go. All right, now it's time, of course, to add a roof to this whole building. So first of all, we want to create a wall in these corners, and then we'll have the same wall, of course, on the opposite side here, just like that. We'll also have a layer of these quarter ceilings going on the outside of the building, because right now it is a 5 wide building, and to create the roof with these ramps we need a 6 wide building. So by adding a quarter wall, or quarter ceiling I mean, on both sides, we'll make sure that the roof is even again. So here on the other side we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to continue this little quarter ceiling on the outside all the way across until we meet back up with the end of the wall. There we go, just like that. And then here for the rest of the wall, we want to take out our quarter walls, bring it up by 3 and in by 1. Same thing over here, up by 3 and then in by 1. On the other side, we'll do the same thing, up by 3, in by 1. There we go, just like that. Then we can have a slope wall there, a slope wall here, and the same thing for the other side, just like this. And then we can have some pillars. Just the 2 of them going up from there, creating a nice little entrance for our aviary. So the same thing is going to be over here, the pillars, and of course these slope walls that we want to add in as well to create the shape for the roof. Now, once again, if you're on official settings, you just want to start the roof right here, maybe add a full overhang just like that. But in unofficial settings with overlapping, you can overlap right through it. And we can then take these up by 3. And of course, from the other side, we can do the same thing. And then, of course, it's a matter of just going across with our ramps all the way to the other side to either fill in the roof or have the little bit of the overlapping. Of course, it doesn't really matter. It's still filling in the roof on official as well. Just the starting position changes, but the rest, of course, is the same principle. Just go around the entire roof, filling it in until we have finally a roof over our heads on this side of the building. And then we're getting closer and closer to actually being done and having a lovely stable and breeding base to use. We'll do the same thing over here on this side. We can start filling these all in just like that. And then we'll have our roof ready, and we'll still have a decent amount of room in here. You can definitely have like RGs, snow owls, pterodons, tapijaras. All of those should easily fit inside this aviary on the top floor. Of course, depending on how many you want to park here, but you still have a decent amount of space. As some extra detail, what you could do is snapping to this pillar right here. You can have a railing and then go through the snap points until you get this one. Same run right there, just to create a little bit of a nicer entrance there. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So important, we have to snap them right here to these pillars to get the right snap points. There we go. And then we have some nice support. One thing we then of course want to do is have a beam going across the top of the roof all the way across, just to add in that little bit of extra detail. And if you want to add in even more detail, what you can do every 3 roofs, so just like this, we can add in some of these railings. I don't know if you can do this one on official, so maybe this is only on unofficial settings that you can do this. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, if you can, you might want to add in a few of these supports, because it just looks quite nice if you have a few of these going on. But then again, I do not know for certain if they are possible on official settings, but well, it's not exactly the biggest miss to have. It's just a nice to have to add in a little bit of extra detail. But yeah, it still is gonna look nice without these as well. It's just like a little bit of support beam looking structures going on. And then here at the entrances to the aviary, you might want to add in this small little balcony with some railings here on the side. And then in this side, we can only add one scaffolding piece because the other one would overlap. But on the other side, of course, we can do it on both sides. So the same principle, just makes landing, flying in and out of this place with flyers a little bit easier. And just also adds, of course, that little bit of extra depth here on the outside. So yeah, why not add a little bit of a balcony right there? And now all that is left is this last little addition to this side. Now for me, this was just kind of like a nice little addition to enjoy the view. For you, you might want to turn this into maybe something more practical, maybe of a crafting area. You could make it an entrance by adding stairs. I added some like balconies, but like in this case, of course, adding a balcony here at the end makes very little sense. So you could have balconies here, maybe if this is facing a cliff. But yeah, you could also definitely turn this into extra entrances if you want to. One thing that we do need is some thin pillars going up right here and right there, just like this. And we want to instantly turn these into the second variant of the Astraeos skins, because they will be impossible to reach afterwards. So it's just easier to do them now. Then we want to fill in this with some normal walls. Then we can take out our pillars. We're going to have pillars going up by 3 right here and by 3 right here. Then, of course, connecting these up to the bottom. We're going to do the same thing here on this side. So pillars going up by 3 and by 3 right there, connecting back up to the bottom. We're going to have some railings continuing along the bottom layers. Same for this side right there. And we're going to, of course, if this is a balcony, we're definitely having some railings around those. Now, if it's high enough, you could even have some slope walls to create some curves at the bottom of these balconies, just to look a little bit nicer, of course. Then we will have a layer of walls coming from this side. So the top layer, we're going to do the same thing here on the other side, having those layer of walls. We're going to have slope walls underneath them to create those arches with the Astraeos skins, just like that. For all of these. There we go. And then for these ones, we actually want to snap into gates, because that's also going to create a lovely little curve. Then here on the side, of course, we want to add a layer of quarter ceilings all the way across the side, just up till that point. And then it's going to be the same thing here for this side, creating these little quarter ceilings all the way along. Then here for the front, of course, this is going to mean that we're going to have a slope wall there. We're going to have a slope wall right here as well. We're going to have 2 quarter walls on both of these. And then it's going to go into 2 full walls right there. We're going to have the slope wall here and a slope wall to fill in that last remaining gap. Once again, creating a nice shape for our roof. And then we'll take out our ramps and start filling in that roof. There's no difference now between official or not. We're going to just have a full overhang on the front, and it's going to go up by 3 in total, this roof. So just like that. And then here on the other side, it's going to be the same thing. There's technically going to be a slight gap here. If you have overlapping available, you can of course fill this in. If you do not, you'll have to live with that tiny little gap being there, but I don't think you'll really notice much of that. And then we can just fill in the rest of the roof like this, and of course have a beam going across the top to complete it all. Now we're almost done after doing all this. Again, you could change these into stairs if you want to make this into an entrance, or maybe add some actual walls instead of having it open like this, depending on what you want. But here on the inside, it's a little bit boxy still, so we can actually change that a little bit by adding in some scaffolding. So we want to make sure that we align that with the pillars, and then just have some scaffolding come down like this on both sides, because that just kind of creates some extra shapes. And you can kind of do that wherever we have a pillar and where it makes sense. Here, for example, it would make sense. We can definitely do that here as well, just to create a little bit more interest and a little less flat. Here I wouldn't do it because we already have the elevator going up and down there, but it just adds a little bit more shape to the rest of the hole, preventing it from looking too much like it's just a big square box. It is a very open room, of course, but if you're using this for breeding, you'll be very happy with all of this space. There we go. That is the hardest part of this build done. But then, of course, we need to skin a bunch of this. Now, the easiest thing probably is just to start with the frontier skins and then see what you need to change to the other skins. I probably would do this section by section as well, just a little bit easier to see if you didn't miss anything. We'll start at the bottom. I like to change these to the frontier texture. Having the entrance made out of wood, and then of course also these pillars here on the inside, as well as this layer here on the inside. So we will change all of these to be the frontier textures. We'll do the same thing for all the pillars. So for each of the stables, of course, that's going to be the same thing. So you just want to kind of continue this. And then of course for this one, we also want to make sure that the gateways themselves are changed. We'll change all of these pillars, and actually this entire front bit we want to change to the frontier skin. So that's kind of what you want to continue all the way through from one side to the next, to change all of these parts to the frontier skin. So I'm not going to do all of them because that just takes a lot of time and I don't want to waste your time. But yeah, basically just like we did these, we want to continue that for all of this, going all the way through. Of course, these pillars on the side, we will do the exact same thing over here. And then at the back, of course, all the pillars will be changed to the frontier skins, which doesn't leave that many Astraeos skins. You'll have the foundations that you all want to change to the first variant of the Astraeos skin. So we'll just go around the bottom like this. You probably want to change all these to the first variant as well as all of the other quarter walls that we have going on here. And then the first layer of the walls also can have the first variant. So across the entire back of this, you'll want to use the first variant for the first layer of the walls and for all of the foundations to get the right look. And yeah, that is almost everything for the first variant. Then what I would also do is these windows themselves, so not the wall but only the window itself, I would use the first variant. Then for the rest of it, you would use the second variant. On the roof, you would also use the second variant, and then the third variant for the very end of it. And that's pretty much what you want to do for all of this build. So that's kind of how we created. And then this little layer underneath, we also want to change to the frontier skin. So that's kind of how you will go about doing all this. So in the end, it should look like this. So we have the second variant for most of the roof, the third variant on the end of the roof, a bunch of the frontier skin. The walls will look like this. So that is the first variant for the foundation and the first wall, second variant for this wall, and then the first variant for the windows themselves, although you can of course play around with that. And then this side wall is going to be the first variant across the bottom and across the side, and then the second variant for the other big walls, first one for the windows, and that is what you'll end up with. Now for the other stables, it's actually very, very similar. So once again, all the pillars and the beams that we have, and as well as these ones in the front, we just want to change to the frontier skins, as well as these gateways. So basically what you're going to do is all the pillars that we can see, those are all going to be the frontier skins, because that's just the way we like to have them, and it really has a nice contrast with the Astraeos skin. So I think this just works really, really well. And for the back, it's going to be the same principle. So all of these pillars are going to be changed, as well as this, and the top layer here is also going to be frontier. This beam, of course, is going to be frontier, and then this little ledge also is going to be the frontier skin. If we look at the top, of course, the pillars or the beams across the top, we also want to make frontier skins. And then, of course, on the inside, this is all going to be frontier. This is going to be frontier. This little lip here also is going to be the frontier skin. And, of course, this entire wall dividing the stables themselves is also going to be changed. So that's what you want to start with for this section of the build. Then once again, for the floor of the stables themselves, you want to use the first variation of the skin. You also want to use that for the bottom layer of all of the walls, including the ones here at the back, and all of the windows. We want to create the first variant, and any of these portal walls that we have going on, we also want to use the first variant. Then for the next layer, you want to use the second variant of the walls, as well as the third variant for the top layer here before we get to the roof. And of course, for these slope walls, the third variant is also going to be used. The roof itself, again, second variant for most of it, and then the third variant along the edges to create the nice look. Which means that in the end, it's going to look like this. So the third variant to end this nice little details on the end, and then the second variant for most of it, third variant for the slope walls, second variant for the big walls here, third variant for the wall here at the end, and then the second one for in the middle. First one, of course, at the bottom. This is what the back should look like, or at least that's what I did. Of course, feel free to play around with these designs, whatever you prefer yourselves, but this is kind of how the stables will look in the end. And of course, this will fill in for as far as we can. And then, of course, it's time to skin the main building themselves. It's kind of the same principle. As you can see, all pillars except for this part at the back, the little thing that sticks out, all the pillars are going to be the frontier skins, as well as the top layer of the side walls here. So the side walls of this aviary are going to be the wood, not this front and back. Only the sides are going to be the frontier skins. The ceilings are going to be the frontier skins everywhere around as well, so that we get that look. Of course, the entrance and these ramps are going to be the frontier skins. You'll get a very nice interior because of that. And then the way we've used these variants are very similar. So from top to bottom, you'll start with the third variant for the walls, the windows themselves. So these things, these are the first variant. And then we have the second variant for two of them. We have the first variant for this one. And the bottom one is actually also this first variant. But then, as you can see, interacting with it will give you another variant. So the first variant for the bottom two. Then we have the second variant for the two after that. And the third one for the final wall that isn't made out of the frontier skin. And that's kind of the whole design all the way around for all of these walls, giving you a really nice look. Of course, most of these walls are covered with all these side buildings, so you don't see much. Here at the front, it's pretty similar as well. Just having the third variant here for these to add a little bit of nice detail there, but very similar design all the way around. As you can see, everywhere's kind of the same. And of course, this is the third variant for the doors to get those nice grades, and then the second variant to create the slope out of the slope walls. If you have overlapping, if you have not, it will just be a beam, just like the bottom. But yeah, creates some very nice looks. And then all you will need to do for the rest of the skins, or what I've done for the rest of the skins, is this part. We've used the pillars. So for these ones, we've actually, of course, used the third variant, which normally is placed like this, and you can just flip them around to create this look. You can also use the other variant available, but I always like, for smaller buildings, to have the pillars just be one way through from top to bottom. And yeah, there we go. That's kind of all you need to do. This is the second variant for the foundations to make them a little bit more fancy. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty straightforward, I think. And you'll get a really nice looking build, skinning it all around like this. And yeah, then you have these beautiful stables to use. I'm very happy with the way these turned out. Hopefully you also like them. Probably if you've come this far, you've built the whole thing, you did like them. But this is the tour of the stables. These fences and the entrance outside is from the Western Deco mod, if you're wondering, as well as all of the hay and stuff on the inside. Decorating is mostly the Western Deco mod, which is a proper mod. Then these little hanging braziers are from the Roman Custom Cosmetics. We have Klinger feeding troughs, and again, these are all the Western Deco at the back, just to decorate these stables. But you can see Drat Mares, Drat Stallions easily fit inside. This one kind of fits, but the tail wouldn't really fit, so he can't really close the doors. Horses will definitely fit. Kentros, these are the paleo Kentros, so they're slightly different than normal ones, but they will fit in these smaller ones as well. Then on this side you can see Stegos will comfortably fit inside very easily. Utis will fit inside, although they might bump their heads going in and out, but they can still go in and out. And then this is one of the ARK Edition creatures. But just to showcase, you can definitely have some decently sized creatures in there, and Western Deco really helps by decorating the inside looking like a proper stables. But yeah, that's whatever you want to do with the space. Of course, I just want to bring it to life a little bit more. That's how I've done that. And then the main room, as you can see, a Karcher can actually fit inside. Fun fact, apparently they can also exit through these doors. I don't know why, but even though it's just a 3x3, they can still leave. You'll bump your head a bit, but they can actually exit, which is quite good. But yeah, well, you have a decent amount of space in here for your cryo fridges. These are Dino Depot things from a mod I use, but the cryo fridges you could have, of course, all the things that you need to breed and yeah, improve your tames. Probably want to have some ACs as well if you want to hatch some eggs. And I've got a lovely little area out here using the Roman Custom Cosmetics as some little decor here, but yeah, just a little place to hang out and enjoy my view of the future lands that will someday be added to Astraeos. Starting to look really cool and foggy out there, so there's definitely some work being done. And yeah, we have this entrance, so this is just meant as a big hall where you can do a lot of breeding. But alternatively, if you think I don't need all this space, you could of course turn this into your base if you just want to use the whole stables as your main base as well. And then up here, of course, we've got the aviary, once again decorated with a bunch of hay. But you can see you can easily have a bunch of your flyers up here parked without any issues. And then you have a beautiful stable building to enjoy and to use for all of your lovely tames. I really hope you enjoyed this video and this build. If you did, of course, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to leave suggestions for future builds that you would like to see down in the comments below. And I hope to see you around in the next video. Goodbye.